First of all, hats off to Clemson. You know, they're number one team in the country for a reason. They're really good players, really good coaches, so just a lot of respect for that program, that team. The margin of error when you're playing a team of that caliber is razor thin, and I don't think we closed the margin as much as I had hoped. We had showed really strong glimpses of what we can be eight nights ago against Louisville Friday night with the big conference win. And I anticipated we prepared really, really well this week going into this game. But the margin of error when we have turnovers at inopportune times and they're able to capitalize on it, you cannot do that against great football teams. You know, so that just hats off to them. And obviously we've got to get a lot better. Got to make the corrections from this game, put them to bed because in 7 days we've got another ACC match on the road that we've got to get ready for. Loaded up to stop the run, and I thought we did that at times, but in doing that, there were some times that we were overcommitting and had some really explosive plays, and that the quarterback is really good, and you know, so just got some things to clean up, and we will. The mood in the locker room was appropriate, and there's a lot of things that we got to get better at, and we will. So questions?
Okay, if you have a question, please use the raise hand function within Zoom. We'll call on people individually, beginning with Daniel Shirley from The Athletic.
Hey, Daniel.
Hey, Jeff, you had to like the way your team bounced back from Syracuse. So they've shown the kind of resolve that I think you'd want. So what do you expect to see from your team after this?
Yeah, it's the thing that we've got to get used to around here. We've got to learn how to handle success. You know, we're well-versed, and I've said it a bunch, we are well-versed in handling setbacks. We are well-versed in learning from mistakes and building on them. But we've got to get better at handling success, handling accolades, handling the pats on the back that you get when you win by 3 scores in an ACC game 8 days ago. You know, you've got to wipe those away. Those are things with the young football team that we've got to learn, and we've got to learn them very quickly. You know, the vision and the goal and the growth and development of this program is happening. Obviously, I don't think it was represented the way it needed to be today, but just I'm excited to get to coach these guys. But we've got to learn how to handle success a lot better than we've shown, you know, after our first big win and then the one last Friday night as well.
Next question comes from Kelly Quinlan from Rivals.
Hey, Kelly.
Hey, Jeff, you guys struggled again on third down on defense. Kind of what do you think is maybe the root cause of the issues you guys have had on third down? Because it seemed like that's what kind of let the game get away from you in the first half.
Yeah, and it was the same thing the previous week. Thought we had some things. Got to give credit to them first and foremost, just some matchup things, but just making sure that we understand the situation, understand what we need to be doing within the scheme. And I do think they had some good things, obviously offensively as well. But when we get in third down, we have to get off the field. And on the other side of the ball, on third downs, you know, we weren't good on that end as well. So that's a huge point of emphasis. You guys all know we make a big deal about it, but just the schematic and the play have to match up, especially in critical situations, and they did not today.
Next question from Ken Segura from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution.
Hey, Jeff, regarding what you were saying about just handling success better, first, like, how did you see that manifesting itself during practice? And then today, like, how did that, like, what effect did that have on the play, would you say?
No, Ken, to be honest with you, I thought we had a really good week of preparation, some really good practices, but then we get out there and then it doesn't, you know, it doesn't show up on the field, especially, you know, in critical situations. We tie the game up at 7, middle of the first quarter, and then right out of the gate give up an explosive play. And then I think there was a series of unfortunate events that happened to us early, and I thought there was a string there where we let go of the rope. You cannot do that against a great football team. We had a chance. We had a missed opportunity that would have tied it back up, with somebody that was wide open, but just those kind of things. We've got to execute. We've got to recover, and then when we have our chances, we've got to make the most of them. We've got a lot of guys in that room that are learning and improving their processes every week, and the challenge is to get more of a collective to be on that same level. We're getting there. I don't think we're quite where we need to be just yet in the process part as a whole, but there are enough guys in that locker room that are trying to get it to that level, and I believe they will.
Another question from Kelly Quinlan from Rivals.
Hey, Kel.
Hey, Jeff, were you surprised at how aggressive Dabo was at times, going for it on some fourth downs and trying to score late right before the half? And, I mean, maybe style points, or, I mean, kind of what do you chalk that up to?
Yeah, I can't worry about that. I've heard coaches in the past complain about the other side doing whatever. I'm not going to be one of those guys. It is our job, regardless of who's in the game, regardless of the situation, to get stops. So we're not going to worry about that. We're not going to complain about that. Whatever another coaching staff needs to do, that's on them. We've got to worry about us. So that's all I'm going to concern myself with, is those kind of things. But it's a good point.
Another question from Ken Segura from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution.
Hey, Ken.
Hey, obviously, as he noted and everybody knows, the Clemson's a very, very good football team.
Yep.
They seem to be ready at the height of the game. Like, how much of that? I mean, it's hard to tease out what was what, but obviously you're playing a very good team that's playing really well.
Sure. And they're 11 years into their development. We're still in the infancy stages, but I think we have what we need in that locker room to be highly competitive. That is the expectation. That is the goal. Obviously we're playing a lot of young guys. There's going to be growing pains when you do that, but they've still got to go out there and execute. Excited about the direction, excited about the guys and the building blocks that we do have. But the expectation is to go out there and play at a very high level, regardless of who we're playing, regardless of where they're ranked, regardless of their records or what they've done in the league for the last 5 years, whatever that is. We have to play at a high level every single week. That is the expectation, regardless if we're playing with a lot of old guys, playing with a lot of young guys. But there's some really good players in our locker room that are continuing to get better. And, I'm excited about the future, even though this is a tough day. This is a tough experience as a coach. It's a tough experience for a lot of our players. The excitement and the building blocks are there for us to come back tomorrow and have a good practice and learn from our mistakes. And you see what it's supposed to look like when you play the number one team in the country. And we're committed to getting to that level sooner rather than later.
Time for a couple more for Coach Collins. We'll begin with another one from Kelly Quinlan.
Jeff, this sort of reminded me of some of those games in the 90s, that especially early in O'Leary's tenure, where they ran into the Florida State buzzsaw when they were really going. And kind of, do you maybe wash some of what happens away just because of how the difference is in a program that's on that level right now versus one like yours where you're kind of trying to rebuild things?
Sure. And I don't think you ever wash it away, but you've got to learn from it. You've got to see, you've got to understand the margin of error, and we've got to flip it so we're not on the negative end of trying to find those margins, but we're on the positive end where we can create margins so that we're playing at such a high level that there's a little bit of freedom here and there to do some things. But, just excited about where we're going. Obviously not where we were today relative to the number one team in the country. We've got a long way to go to get to that spot, but just there's critical things that we could have done better today that would have helped us early, and we've just got to be able to make those plays, make those calls to get those things done.
And the last question that we have in queue is last one from Ken Segura from the AJC.
Hey, Ken.
Sorry about that. So defensively, as you saw it, were there things like eye discipline or pass rush pressure or whatever that what did you see that you can fix? And then second, I'm guessing there were some throws that Lawrence made that you were like, there's nothing we can do better than what we did.
Yes, I mean, first of all, hats off to him. I mean, he's he really is a great player, and obviously he's got some tremendous weapons to distribute the ball to. Knew where to go with the ball, knew where to read the progressions, all of those kind of things. But just there's a slight communication pieces, whether to be on top or whether we're slight, whatever the case may be, that we've all got to be on the same page. And then there were some balls that he threw in there. There were some windows and some running lanes that were really thin that they were making plays through, and we've just got to continue to close that gap, decrease the margin for error in every single phase, whether that be through execution, whether that be through fundamentals and techniques, length, speed, whatever the case may be. As we evolve and develop, those margins have to decrease, and we're committed to do that. Our guys are committed to doing that, but the margin of error against a great team is razor thin, and we got to find ways, to counteract that moving forward, and we will.